Hodgson put him on his back. Thurston, right foot kick, down the ground, into the in goal almost. Hodgson cuts it off. Hodgson taken by Norton. He took him late. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside. Richards pursued. He pushes Johnson away.
Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, the 12th of March, 2024. You're back for yet another episode of the Tiger Town podcast. Quite a big one. Season launch coming up. We're heading into round 2. I'm Zac. He's Toby. But before we get to him, everybody wants to hear from Toby for some reason. I don't know why.
Because I'm a good bloke.
Mate, please, don't interrupt. Thank you. We better thank our sponsors. Best on Ground Digital, bestongrounddigital.com, the digital marketing agency that looks after the little guys. They will not steer you wrong. They got us on Apple Podcasts because we're hopeless, let's be honest. Just trying to twiddle our fingers together, get things moving, mate. We tried our best, but the boys over at Best on Ground Digital set us right. The digital marketing agency that looks after the little guys, bestongrounddigital.com. They support the show. Toby, how are you, my friend?
Mate, they support the show. Hopefully everyone else that listens supports the show and they don't just heckle us. They don't get much heckling, so I'm guessing they do.
Mate, there's enough heckling coming from me in your direction.
That's true.
That should be enough.
Sometimes, but, you could always go with a bit more banter. You could always go with a bit more.
Banter. Sick, isn't it? All right. Mate, how are you going anyway? You doing all right?
Yeah, doing all right, mate. Doing all right. Pretty excited, actually.
Okay, no one cares. Let's get into football's back, baby. I'm just kidding. Kidding, mate.
Look,
I've been hanging on to that joke for 6 months since September. Come on now.
We've done pods before that. How did you wait that long?
Well, I was saving it for the first game.
Season launch. Yeah, okay.
Season launch, my friend.
Yeah, cool.
It's important stuff.
I don't even know what I was talking about, so you may as well skip over.
You were telling me how you're doing. You've had a good week?
Yeah, good week, mate. Good week. Watched some footy over the weekend, but the real important one is obviously this weekend that I'm just sort of dancing in my shoes at the moment.
Pumped, excited. Mate, for me, round 1 last week, it felt weird. It felt like a bit of a false start. Normally, round 1, it's a big crescendo, like it's a big build-up and a big climax of excitement because the footy's back. And, don't get me wrong, I was excited. And I was talking to the old man on the weekend, and he said maybe it's because Vegas was that big sort of climax of excitement, and then it backed off, and then we had the rest of round 1 a week later, and maybe that was the reason why. But I'll tell you what, I'm getting the excitement tingles already, and I know West Tigers coming off 2 wooden spoons. I know I'm probably, heading for a hiding in the excitement department. But look, hey, let's go. Round 1, here we go.
Oh, mate, you got to
round 2
every single year. Round two.
Game
Made
1.
that mistake earlier today. But, mate, you got to start off with optimism. Every Tigers fan does that every single year.
Yep.
But we mentioned in previous pods this year, there's just a bit more of a different smell in the air than it has been in the past. And I'm sure we've probably said that too, to be honest. We probably said the same thing when Jason Taylor took over. Probably said the same thing when Ivan Cleary took over. Probably said the same thing when Ivan Cleary got hit by a bus. Oh, sorry. I dreamt that.
Disclaimer, we don't wish that to happen. We're both touching wooden tables.
No, it's all about a play on words. If everyone is aware of the under the bus sort of scenario. On the bus. Sorry. We
most definitely have been a club that has recycled hope. Correct?
Yeah. If how you get those the money for plastic bottles that you recycle, if you could do that, every West Tigers fan would be a millionaire.
Yep. Yeah, we are the discarded aluminium cans of the football world.
Yeah, well, our hopes are anyway.
Not our best analogies. Like I said, mate, cognitively, we're not going to function too well tonight because we're too excited.
I think so.
We've got a football game to preview. We've got plenty to talk about. We've got bold predictions coming out of the wazoo from all the lovely people over on the socials. Mate, we've got to get to work here.
I think we do. I think we got to stop our tangents, and I think we got to get this going because if we don't, it's going to be a 2-hour pod tonight.
I tell you what, I'm going to dive straight into some bold predictions and kick the show off that way. We've got quite a few to get through, so ladies and gentlemen, please bear with us. We put the feelers out today on Instagram and Facebook to let everybody know that we're recording our show on a Tuesday night, as we do every single week. We deliberately do that so it's post the release of the squads. And it's a night that works for us. We obviously release on a Wednesday morning. Now, we had an absolutely spectacular response. So thank you once again to everybody who has jumped in. We've got Instagram comments. We've got comments across the Facebook pages. We've got Facebook messages. We've got direct messages. We even had an email in there, mate. So, really happy with how people have responded to that, which is wicked, to be perfectly honest. The downside is, mate, you've got to listen to me talk for a little while now because I'm going to go through all our bold predictions. I'm going to try to do it really quickly. Unlike last week, that was also an awesome audience response. We're not going to break down every single person's bold prediction. Like last week, if we happen to miss you, apologies. It's by accident, not design. If you are in that situation at the end of today's episode when it comes out, shoot us a message. Let us know. We'll personally shout you out next week when we review the Canberra game. And, mate, you agree to do a little dance in a tutu if that happens to one of our kind listeners. That's so generous of you.
Well, I do have that West Tigers coloured tutu that I've been dying to put on. So,
good point. I think I made that for you, Craig.
I think you did, yeah. And I'm
pretty, it was an old one of mine.
Yeah, it was again a recycled thing, but it was a great birthday present.
Our post this afternoon said, and we're off. 2024 season launch tonight. That's us. That's what we're doing this evening. Get your season bold predictions in and we'll read them on the show. Now, a few people made a general comment. A few people made a comment about the Canberra game. We'll read all of them, or almost all of them. There's a couple of cheeky ones in there that we might just put on the back burner for a little bit, and then a few made comments or predictions about 2024. So here we go. Hold on to your hats. Mark said, first year of a change, back to 2015, change of culture, change of heart, and change of pride. Let's see what Benji and the team can really do when we try. Love it. Love the positivity. John Bailey, one of our top contributors. Thanks, Johnny boy. Buller, Staines, Toa, Olam, Dupo, Galvin, Sullivan. I think he's just gone through the list, basically. I read maybe Nathan on the wing for Staines. Caesar Rumour injured, not the team I would pick. Fa'atape for Toa and Lob in for one of the wings. I think Johnny Boy might have maybe thrown this up before, and he was speculating about the team that might have come out. And obviously, we're going to talk about the team that was named to play a little bit later in the show. So thanks for that one, John. John, apologies if I get your surname wrong, John. Duimel. Providing Benji is given the chance, I think finals next year and 2026 and top 4 in 2027. From there, anything can happen. Aaron has said top 12 to 15. I hope better, but being realistic with our young group, it might take a little while. I think, mate, we're both in agreement with Aaron there. I think that patience is the key. We've got the youngest squad in the NRL, to my knowledge. John, once again, has commented. He says, the same John from earlier, we need to change the mindset from being a feeder club for other teams to a club that nurtures their talent and retains their good juniors. I think that's well on the way, and hopefully that is our only ticket to success long-term, no doubt.
Yeah.
Greg has said Benji to come out of retirement to captain coach. That is bold, Gregory.
That's well done. Bold prediction.
And the reason that's a little bit scary is it might be 0.5% possibly true. I've seen stranger things happen. I'm going to assume it won't, and we're going to say it won't. If it does, we're in big trouble. But that was worthy of a laugh emoji.
In saying that, there's worse halves on the market. We don't want to re-sign Brandon Wakeham. So
what I will say, mate, is I'm a little bit tired of hearing all the players in the squad in their press conferences say how much Benji is carving them up. I want to see how much Benji is carving up the clipboard. Thank you very much. And I want to hear about how the actual players that are named in our squad are carving up at training. Thank you very much moving forward, because if a 37, 38-year-old is carving you up, which is our vintage, you've got big issues.
Yeah.
John Innes has said, I predict a win on Saturday in Canberra. Good man. Someone threw a laughing emoji. Was not us. I think we threw him a love heart. Well done, John. Benji, John Delpesh. Benji, all the paid members want is for us to compete, and the rest will take care of itself. Top 8 would be a dream come true. I think, mate, we're going to get there sooner rather than later. Well, maybe that's not entirely correct, but we will get there at some point. We'll see if it's this year. Brendan has said, I genuinely believe we will be around 9th, hopefully pushing for the edge of the 8. Craig, Tigers to make the top 8 and beat Panthers in the final. Go you West Tigers. Have faith, never give up. Talk about bold. If you look up bold in the dictionary,
bold.
I think there's a picture of Craig in there.
That's not just bold. That's like 900 weight bold.
David said Tigers to finish 7th, Stefano to have a massive season, and Galvin and Latu end up in the halves at the end of the year. Interesting one. Very youthful outlook. Not out of the realms of possibility. Buller, Player of the Year. I'm not sure whether he means the Tigers Player of the Year. I think that's a fair shake as well. John, once again, John Bailey from earlier has said we'll finish 12th. Aaron says Tigers to win in round 1, another backer against Canberra. William has said the band is back with Benji, Robbie, Hino, and Johnny M. Season 24 is the building of a foundation year for the near future. Be proud and support these guys as success is in sight. I agree, William. I think that there is a light at the end of what has been a very long tunnel, though we are not there yet. Gail has said Tigers will not get the spoon. Nice and succinct. Thank you, Gail. Michael, Tigers to finish in the 8. And Greyman, cool name, my guy, has said not jinxing anything. So I think Gray's holding on to his rabbit's foot and he doesn't want to put any bad juju out there.
Appreciate it.
Mate, I'm going to go a little pause on the comments now just to give you a rough idea. That's about a quarter of them, folks, and you're probably sick of hearing me already. So I might throw it to Toby for a little bit. We've got a couple of our own bold predictions for this season ourselves. Now, in the second half of the episode, folks, we are going to get into the game. We just wanted to have one of those, have a bit of fun, I guess, at the start of the show and see where we think the season's heading, and more importantly, see what you guys think. And as we said, we've been absolutely swamped. So, mate, have you got your first of 3 bold? We took liberties a bit tonight, mate, didn't we? We allowed ourselves
a bit of time.
3 bold predictions, not in any order. What's your first one?
Well, I knew I'd forget, so I decided to write it down, to be honest, because I knew I'd forget because I really wanted to think about this one. So the first one is Ice to be gone by the end of season.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So I think...
Right. What are you thinking there?
I think he's going to go back to the Warriors. I think he's... the Warriors do have a bit of back row stocks, but he's back like 2-time second row of the year. He was previously, obviously, debuted as a Warrior, has family over there, etc. I think he's just not going to perform to the extent that we want him to. He's going to get sick of not performing either, because he probably has high standards for himself, and he'll go to the Warriors.
Okay. Yeah, right. And is that going to be something that we are happy about, considering it would free up some cash, or do you think it's something that the Tigers will be disappointed?
I think we'll replace well. I think we've obviously got Romy coming next year to, quite a big signing there, probably our biggest signing. I think that'll attract more people. So I think we'll either recruit well for that position. That's still, I think, I mentioned this a couple of pods ago, I think that's a position now that we probably need to look at stocking up, because we've got some juniors coming through, but that's still quite a few years, or maybe 2 or 3 years away. So I think I think we'll recruit well. Who do we recruit? I couldn't tell you. I don't know who's on the market. Didn't think that far ahead. But I think we'll recruit well and we'll replace well. So,
okay. All right. Well, it'll be interesting to see. We certainly, we aren't flush with second row stocks coming through the system. I think our lock stocks and some of our middle forwards may be a little bit better than our edges. But yeah, we'll wait and see what happens there, mate. I've got Actually, I'm going to switch up a couple of mine. I'm going to keep it in the same vein. I'm going to say there is another player who's going to be gone at season's end, and it's going to be Bud Sullivan. In my eyes, I think that they are going to. I think he's going to head back to St George. I think they're going to be talking sort of mid-year, and I think once Fainu comes on the scene, we've seen that Benji isn't afraid to throw Galvin in, and provided Galvin hits the ground running, at least to a standard degree, I think the likes of Caesar, Fainu and Galvin can hold up this halves situation heading, mind you, it's only for a single season, heading into next year with Jerome coming, as you said. I think we'll see an opportunity there. I don't think that halves are going to be something that are growing on trees. So there's going to be a few clubs, if it's not just St George, a few clubs looking for a half. To me, he's going to be the odd one out. I know there's a few people said something similar, but the selection of Lockie in the 6 jersey for this weekend that we'll talk about later in the show has made me a little bit, even though Bud's been picked at 7, it's made me think a little bit in that regard. So, yeah, that's my bold prediction. Whether it comes true or not, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, it's not out of the realm of possibilities, because whoever's taking that number 7 is just keeping it warm. That's all they're doing.
Yep.
And if he's decided to, as we mentioned, start Galvin at number 6, he really is the odd one out, unfortunately.
I don't know if I cut myself off in the middle of a point earlier, but I'm saying that Caesar, Fainu and Galvin have it covered. There's also the likes of Simkin, who has been training a lot in the halves over the off-season, we've come to find out. And as much as he's not a first-choice halves option, in terms of people that can fill in, there are options there, considering we're just really nursing through this season in a lot of ways. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think so. Len, would you be upset about that if that does occur?
I think that we've put ourselves in a really flush position for halves, and I think we've done it really, really, really well. My concern would be losing the likes of Fainu or Galvin over losing a Sullivan. However, I've got the smallest of sample sizes. I've seen lower grade stuff of Sullivan and what he's done so far in a very short NRL career from the bench primarily, and it's been hit and miss. And I've only ever seen a small amount of junior games, never a full game of either Galvin or Latu. I've seen a lot of chunks of their games, and I've seen a lot of highlights. So it's hard to say, mate. But to me, if we've got 2 of the best 19-year-old halves in the country, probably along with 1 or 2 others, the likes of Pezzett and Sanders, and probably another couple I'm forgetting, if we can at all keep them and fit them into the same squad alongside Jerome Luai, then we should be doing everything we possibly can. And, if Bud doesn't fit into that, then so be it. He might come out this year and completely outplay the other 2 and make himself one of the first pick every week, yeah. And if he does that, more power to him. So, yeah, we'll wait and see. But it's bold predictions for a reason.
Yeah, well, it's nice, like you said, we're a bit flush in that position. Now it's nice that players have to perform, especially with Romy coming next year. They have to perform, or, there's someone ready to just step in. We haven't had that for a while. I mean, I think start of last year, we didn't even have a backup half until 2 weeks out from the season.
That's true.
Yeah, and we signed Brandon Wakem.
Yes, well, Brandon did his best, didn't he?
He did. He did his best. And, in saying that, he still became he's still an NRL half. So, better than
he's overplaying for Blacktown, now over at Manly.
Yeah, better than 90% of players there.
I'm going to dive into the next batch of bold predictions here.
Yep.
So we've got an account by the name of Indigenous Highland Culture. We've got a few PNG fans that have come on over and joined our little Tiger Town community, which is awesome, and they're interacting with us, maybe off the back of the Olam signing as well. So welcome to everybody from PNG. Love your support, love the passion for the game. Man, you guys love that game. And all this person has said is, how will we go? Well. Very succinct. Love it.
Yeah.
And positive.
Straight to the point.
We've got Tati, who has put black heart, orange heart, 100 emoji, thumbs up emoji, and I added a thumbs up emoji to that as well. Well done. Just some black and gold love hearts.
Yeah, just black and gold love.
We are the West's Tigers, though, Tati, so remember that you got to throw a white one in there these days as well. But I love the passion. Jordana, it'll be a close one like last season. Charles has said, with you all the way. Love the support as well. I think Charles is another one of our PNG listeners. Thanks, Charles. We've got Teofilo. I hope I got your name correct. And 24, Canberra 24, Tigers 16, I think is that prediction. And obviously a prediction for the weekend coming up. Steve has also predicted a Canberra win. 32 to West's 12. So not a season prediction for those couple of listeners, but more so this week, I guess. And, on form, you can't argue with what they're saying. Steve said, it's just how I feel. I really want the Tigers to win, but just can't see it. Mate, Canberra at home, it's a tough ask, isn't it?
Yeah, and they were in flying form last week.
Yeah, they played quite well. The Knights weren't great, but Canberra was solid, took their chances as they tend to.
Yeah.
Mitchell has said, my bold prediction is we will be leading at halftime but lose the game. Too many errors in the second half, 26-12. So, again, a few predictions from the Canberra Tigers game. I probably should have split these up, but we're busy guys. We're doing our best. Tommaso Marzella has said Canberra looks a lot stronger in the trials and last week. It will be very difficult. Canberra 32-6. John Augustus has said 18-10 to Canberra. We'll go to Joe. Will be a tough start, seeing the rest of the field started last week, lacking a little experience, but hope to make up with it, effort and enthusiasm. Go the Tigers. Good work, Joey. Love it. Colleen has said, I predict I'll be crying at the end of the game either way. So, tears of sadness, Colleen.
Right there with you.
Just get the tissues ready, Colleen. We've got our Kleenex supply for the season. You're right. We need them one way or the other. All right.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Hey, we're talking. I was about to refer to the game we won against. Who did we? 2022. Who was the drought-breaking win we had?
And so it wasn't Panthers last year.
Start of the season. Panthers last year.
Eels.
I'm trying to think. Was it Eels? Was it Eels?
Monday.
Was it Easter Monday? Or was that the second one? Well, Eels and then Rabbits.
Yeah,
Rabbits the following week.
Hastings kicked the field goal against the Eels, and then Brooks kicked the field goal against the Bunnies.
That's right. I did cry that day.
Yeah, me too.
Overcome, not full balling. Come on now, I'm a real man, mate. Come on now, champion. But I'd be lying if I said that I didn't get worry-eyed. I think there was a lot of build-up.
Yeah, I think it was just more.
Little did I know that wasn't rock bottom. Let's go back. We've got Rowan. Tigers 30, Canberra 18. Tati has chimed in again. Thank you, Tati. Tigers 24, Raiders 18. Dave has said, it always looks like men playing boys when Canberra constantly outmuscle the Tigers every year. Love the positivity there, Dave. But it's hard to argue with what you've said. Certainly on form, mate. You got us pegged there, definitely. Jamie said, well, we got rid of the riffraff. Now time to kick some ass. Go, Benji. Jamie, loving it. And Anthony has said, can Benji beat Wayne when we play the Dolphins? I think he will. Well, guess what? He got his first win of his coaching career against Wayne Bennett last year, didn't he? When he took over from Timmy. So he's got a 100% win record against Wayne Bennett coach teams. Nobody can say that as far as I know. Except Benji. I'm going to keep going, mate. We'll plow on through these and then we'll move on with the rest of the show. Maddie has said Galvin to be nominated for Rookie of the Year. Nice. Tigers avoid the third straight spoon and finish 15th. That's not avoiding it by much, Maddie, but it's avoiding it by enough.
Definitely avoiding it.
Ray has said, Ray Gavin has said Galvin to play NRL most of the year, safe after to be a success at lock, and at 9th place finish. No comment. I'm not touching that Seafarth comment with a 10-foot pole. Daniel has said Tigers to make the 8 and play finals footy after a long spell. Beautiful. Amos has said Tigers to make the top 8. And that has 4 likes. Beautiful. Riley has chimed in, and Riley has said, West Tigers to start strong and make the 8. Aiden Caesar to win the Daily M. I said it. Well, Riley, doesn't matter how many times you say it, my friend. You might need to go and have a little bit of lie down. Aiden Caesar, my man, what are you doing?
I think old mate was making those predictions at the pub. I'm saying.
Hey, Riley, we said be bold. You certainly were that. So well done on following instructions, my guy. Great stuff. Caleb's weighed in and said, we need a few more Indigenous players at West Tigers. Naden and who else? I can't think off the top of my head who else is in the squad that's Indigenous. But then again, we don't really have everyone's heritage listed there. So it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, Jerome Buller is an obvious one that stands out to me. There's probably a few others in there as well. We need the brothers in there as well. We need as many people from all sorts of cultures as we can because, as we know, a good melting pot is good stuff. And also, we'll move on to Rob. So Rob McLaren says Tigers to finish 6th. Alex Twal to score 2 tries this season.
Oh, I like that one.
Rob.
I like that one a lot.
No. Hang on. Rob, are you okay? My friend, get help. Okay? Now, we said be bold. We didn't say, Toby, we didn't say lose your mind. Okay? Try to keep your head, Robbie. Try to keep your head. But he said, and we will finish the season with 14 wins, 9 losses, and 1 rare draw to finish on 35 points. I actually love the specificity that Rob has spat out there in his lovely comment. Well done, mate.
I like everything about that whole comment, Rob, mainly because if everyone listened to the pod last year, they knew that up until Twal actually scored his try against the Melbourne Storm, my bold prediction every single week was Twal was going to score. So, love it.
And there was one week, if you remember, that was a week out that you forgot to do it, and it wasn't the week that he scored, but it was the week before or the week after or something.
Because you tried to make it so that I didn't predict it, but I did.
I thought that was the situation, but alas.
But you were
we keep
wrong.
moving on. Marcus has said, realistic, we will avoid the spoon, but not do much else. We'll build for next year where we will push for a top 8 spot. Darren has said, Tigers to make top 8, finish 4th, securing a home semi. Tigers will compete and play on every play, not giving up, and finally create a culture of accountability and winning for the team. I love that word, accountability. Doesn't get used enough, not only at the Tigers, but in society at large these days. Hello, accountability. Benji, Coach of the Year. Appy, Captain of the Year. Darren, if you are Nostradamus, I'm on board. I will subscribe to whatever it is that you're selling. I'll drink the Kool-Aid, mate. I'm in. Dave Coleman has said, Galvin, Rookie of the Year. Another Galvin supporter. How could you not be? Small sample size, but he looks the goods. Mark has said Benji to be named Coach of the Year. Another one. So we've got a few in agreement there. Tony has said, we'll finish mid-table this year. Dave Clemmer will wind the clock back to become prop of the year. How good would that be? I tell you what, Tone. His numbers last year that we discussed on the pod were elite. They were fantastic. He was running for 150-odd metres plus a game on average. And what did he tackle that, Toby? Something like
98%.
Something wild.
Yeah.
He missed something like low single digits over the entire course of the year after making 600 or 700 odd tackles. Clemmer is underrated, in my opinion. And I know he's been around for a long time, but if you look at that man's numbers, he's a weapon.
Oh, 100% agree. I mean, just listen to my comment about him last week.
Oh, yeah, 100%, mate. Raymond, 10 wins. Graham, Tigers versus Manly Grand Final. Ooh, the Brooks match.
Brooks to face us. Okay.
Absolutely. Oh, goodness me. Wouldn't that be wild? Tigers versus Manly, I just read that. Appy, Clive Churchill, Galvin, New South Wales, number 7. A man can dream. We said bold. That's bold.
That's bold.
Mary has said only the best. Shane had a laugh at our use of the word launch. Look, bruh. Hey, season launch, mate. Come on now. Yeah. We are launching the season. It might topple straight over, but we don't know that. Until such time as we hit ignition, mate, we're going to launch, my friend. That's what we're doing. Good old John Layton has said, go Tigers, go. And he has tacked on the end of that 6 Tigers emojis. Now, I hope that's not the total number of wins he's predicting for the year.
Total number of losses.
Whilst that would be an improvement, yes, that would equate to something in the realms of, 19 losses?
Yeah, it's still not good.
Have to wait and see. Sue has said, woohoo, looking forward to winning. I hope I gave that enough emphasis on the woohoo there, Sue. Peter has said, Tigers to make the 8 and go deep into the finals. I'm on board with that one, Pete. Sparky Moran, good old Sparky. Charlie Staines to lock up 1 wing spot for the season. 15 tries. Yeah, I'm down on that. Look, if we get Charlie Staines' side working, mate, he could finish.
Oh, but he noticed that he didn't say top try scorer either. So he just said 15 tries. So somebody else is going to get more. There you go.
Junior Tupou.
No, Buller.
Okay, yeah, righto. Is that your bold prediction?
No.
Are you second? Okay. And then Robin has said, I'm sure we won't win the spoon. Instead, we'll make the 8. We're getting a big mixed bag here, mate. A bit of realism, a bit of doom and gloom, a bit of positivity.
Bit of dreaming.
We're going to have a mixed bag. All right. So we've got a few more to go, and then we'll be done with these. Again, for these people that reached out, commented, sent us messages, sent us emails. I think we even got a carrier pigeon. I think it hit the window early. I got to go out and check what's on its foot, but I'm sure it's something highly insightful.
Thank you very much.
We love the support. We love the interaction. Let us know. Did you guys enjoy this type of show? We did a similar thing last week. Really loving the involvement, loving the interaction. It's awesome. John Bailey has said, be surprised if we get the win. I'm assuming he's referring to Canberra. I like surprises. Good on you, Johnny. Me too. Canberra played very simple footy and got lucky on kicks. I hope we can test kicks. If you will recall, Canberra always get lucky on kicks. Last year, in that game last year where we came back at them, they had two ricochets off the post for Fogarty. Yep. And then there was the Papali'i attempted charge down off the field goal where he slid 3 metres and touched one of Fogarty's shoelaces, and they got the penalty goal to win.
Yeah, and then don't forget there was also in that game where White and emulated Tom Brady. So
that's right. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Anyway, keep moving on.
Oh, we put you back in a sad mood.
Oh, mate, you reminded me of Tigers' losses, and then you reminded me of the Arizona Cardinals and how pathetic they are. So let's get back into our happiness or our hopeful round 2 podcast show.
Yeah.
David has said, do we think Galvin will go to 13 and Appy play 80 minutes when Caesar comes on, or Bud plays dummy half when Caesar comes on, and then Galvin drops to 13 when Appy comes on? Dave, we're going to get into that, mate, in the second half of the show. So that's a really good question. Appreciate you dropping that one in, mate. Well, I'm sure we'll discuss how we think that's going to work. Cole has said, one off the wooden spoon. That's about the nicest thing I think Cole's ever said about the Tigers, but we'll take it. We've got Rowe, who has said Galvin and Latu to be our halves by round 10. Clement to the Dogs, Tigers 15th. So Rowe has made another prediction for a squad player to be moved on. Clement to the Dogs. Not the worst idea I've ever heard. Decent coin. Dogs need a middle. Homecoming for the big Clemmeister. Possibly.
That's definitely one that could be on the cards.
I don't know that we've got the middles to replace, but if you have a look, we've got Pole, Twal, Fainu, we've got Steph. Interesting. We'll see how that plays out. That's not a bad one there, Ro. Good man. I hope that's sorry. I say good man. Sorry, Ro, if it's female, if you're a female. You don't have a profile pic there, my friend. So I'm just guessing.
Let's call you buddy.
Yeah, that's insulting.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like champ. It's not good.
You hate that.
I hate buddy more than champ, but they're all in the do not use list.
Fair. Well, that's for you. I'm just going to call you it all the time now. You know our listeners are going to start calling you that now.
Yeah, thanks, champ. Peter has said, if I'm being brave, I'd say 9th. If I'm being honest, I'd say 13th. Or New South Wales to win Origin. Well, New South Wales to win Origin, please. They're going to win 5-0. Allow me to explain. They're going to win by so much in the first 2 games that we get given 2 victories for our 1.
Can we just get last year's trophy instead?
Yes, that sounds good to me. And he said Roosters to beat the Storm in the grand final. Pete's got quite a few predictions in there. Thank you very much, Peter. All right, I've got one more that I'm going to read out as well that came through 90 seconds ago.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know. So Matthew has said, and he just got in the nick of time, so thanks, Matthew, on Instagram. There's going to be a big back Benji movement, so a big support for Benji movement, as well as really get behind him. He said he knows it's going to be a tough season for him, but he's going to be okay, and we've got to have confidence in him. I could not agree more, Matty. We have no choice but to back the long-term coaching structures that we've got in place. Benji being a rookie coach, we've got to make sure he's given due time, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And it sounds like Richo's backing him through and through. And it sounds like, on another, just a bit of a tangent, from what I have read, a few of the finer details just need to be ironed out for him to stay on long term as well.
For Richo?
For Richo, yeah.
Yeah. A couple of the sources have pointed in the last couple of weeks about he and Barry having a few conversations about that, and yeah, the language sounds like he's keen to stick around, which is great. We all know how we feel about Richo, and I think in the later this month, I've heard that they're going to unveil a new strategy or strategic plan for that MacArthur region down the southwest. So I can't wait for that. He's been feet under the desk for 2 months, and I know this is a segue, but only good things ahead, I think, if we have Shane Richardson steering the ship moving forward.
I think that's, if anything, everyone says that Romy's the biggest signing we've ever had. He's the biggest signing we'll ever have.
Mate, he's certainly up there. He hasn't done a whole lot of bugger all just yet, but, you know, if you're a betting man, he's probably paying $1 2 to turn us around, at least to some degree, right?
Yep, 100%.
Toby, I might get you, mate. We're going to jump straight into our we've got a couple more bowl predictions of our own, but we're going to give the listeners a bit of a break. Sorry, you've had me barking at you for half an hour straight, so I'm going to throw it over to Toby on the mic, the old MC Tobe over there. Mate, do you want to go through this week's selection list, and we'll start to have a bit of a yarn about what we think about a few of the hoodwinks that old Benji has pulled on us in our first game of the season. There's a bit to talk about there, mate. Off you go.
Not exactly what I had envisioned for game one, but, exciting time. So obviously at fullback, we have Buller. No surprises there at all. Agree?
Disagree? Yeah, correct. Are we
It's
going one by one?
It's a back and forth. It's a back and forth. Just so
sorry,
you're
mate. I thought you were going to do the whole list. That's what normal people do. But that's all right. You do your thing.
See, if you pass the mic to me, this is how I do things. I like engagement. So,
right.
Charlie Staines.
That's okay, mate. That's okay. It just shan't be happening again. That's that one.
Shan't or shit.
Shan't. Carry on.
So Charlie Staines locking in one wing. Pretty surprising. Not surprising. That's better.
Yeah. Tupou on the other.
Tupou on the other. We got Toa and Fa'atape in the centres. Now, we discussed Toa last week, or probably the week before, when we were talking about the Dragons game. I'm thinking they're going to give him one more shot, and it was just cobwebs. So that's my hope. But he's got to improve greatly to keep that spot in my eyes.
Yeah, we spoke about the centre mix last week, didn't we? And we said that Fa'atape did himself set this phrase up wrong. He did a good job in the off season, and put his best foot forward, didn't he, to be considered in that pool? We said we didn't quite think that he was maybe a decent chance, but obviously with Olam having another rest for a week, and the word being that he's going to be right
due to injury.
Yeah, so just giving his knee an extra week after the knock he copped against the Dragons. So the club has said this afternoon that he should be right for next week at Leichhardt at home against the Sharkies. So obviously Fa'atape's first drop there, with Naden still recovering from that off-season shoulder surgery. So mate, he gets his chance, and anything can happen. Benji's already said and now proved that he's going to reward those that are putting in and those that are performing the best. So in some ways, mate, it may well be a shootout between Star and Solomona this week.
It might be. It very well might be, because you like to think that Olam's going to get first crack when he comes back, no matter how we play next week or how we play this week. But the Naden one is interesting to me, because literally I have not heard anything about Naden, like in terms of injury, in terms of time frames, in terms of XYZ, nothing about him. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
All right. Junior Tupou on the other wing, like we mentioned, no surprise there. So here's the big one that no one, some people probably predicted, but probably not in the way that we thought. So number 6 is Lockie Galvin. Did more than enough clearly in the games against the Dragons to earn this spot, you think?
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of days, there've been a couple of whispers floating around that he was definitely in the mix, and we spoke after the Dragons trial about how he wouldn't look out of place in the 17, probably based purely on inexperience and how young he is and how physically underdeveloped he is. Probably didn't think he was a jump, particularly over somebody like Caesar. But there's also a couple of whispers around about Caesar carrying a hamstring niggle as well. Now, I don't know. Do you want to... I might just... Maybe we can come back, and this one we might need to rip apart a little bit.
Okay.
If you want to sort of get through maybe the rest of your list, if you're happy to do that. Because, I don't... we can go down a sort of 15-minute road about talking about this, and then we sort of get off where we were talking about with the squad, mate. So, you mentioned 7. Lockie.
Yeah, so number 7 is actually Bud, not Caesar, which is, again, an interesting selection. But if Caesar is carrying that hamstring issue, maybe it makes sense. And then basically the forward pack is as we would expect. We got Steph, we got Appy, we got Clem, we got Ice, we got Bateman. Bateman's back, which is awesome. Very, very happy about that. And we got your mate, Seyfarth, to lock out the scrum. So, look, no surprises really there, because we both in agreement that the only one that maybe didn't deserve or didn't earn that jersey all the way was probably Seyfarth, in terms of he had a good performance for one game, a very mixed bag the next. But again, I'm going to assume it's Benji giving them a little bit more of a redemption. Like, you need to earn it again. So that's my thought.
Yep.
And then on the bench is, as we mentioned, Caesar has been moved to the bench. Pole, Twal, and Samuela. Very, very, very happy Samuela made 17. And to final out the reserves, we got Asu, TDS, Matamua, Lob, and Simpkin. So, thoughts on that squad?
Okay. Overall, yeah, risky, obviously. And, it's hard to not look at the halves situation. Let's dive into that now, and then we can look at some of the secondary considerations, I guess, considering we'd started that discussion a minute or two ago. Yeah, my concerns for Galvin are not actually so much his inexperience. My concerns for Galvin are his physicality or his physical attributes. The reason being is it's pretty widely known now that Galvin is the fittest at the club, and he's won a whole lot of stuff over the off season in terms of the fitness elements. Now, that's only just one part, but it's not so much that side of things to me. It's the side of the fact that he is an 18-year-old half who looks like a stiff breeze can blow him over. And with all due respect to Lachlan, he held his own relatively well physically against the Dragons, although, it was in diminished minutes in this situation on the weekend. We're not sure how many minutes he's going to play. Generally, a half would play all 80 of the minutes, which might not be an issue on the fitness front, as I mentioned before, but more the physicality front. Our edges have been notoriously awful for a long time. I know that Galvin is considered a good defender, quite a good defender, actually, for that matter, on an edge, whether he's playing back row centre or in the halves in junior footy. But as we well know, it's a different kettle of fish. So that's where my concerns lie around that. Bud, I'm interested to see how Bud goes in the 7. It very much seems like an early season shootout, start of season shootout for me. But as I've mentioned before, Bud played most of his junior footy at 7. He is an organising 7. And a lot of us were thrown off by that one St. George game last year where he sliced through for 2 individual tries. He originally was a pretty handy runner, but he is an organising 7. That's how he came through the grades. That's where he started in junior footy. So it'd be interesting to see. He's been given the keys in the first game to see what happens there. Now, I did mention before that there was talk of a possible Caesar hamstring niggle. If that's the case, why play him? And the other side of the coin is I don't know whether that's from a legitimate source or not. We've heard a couple of whispers today, but we don't know if that's true. So it is quite possible that Aiden has simply just been picked on the bench, and we're going to see some sort of deployment of him at some point in the game. So, mate, without talking about how the deployment of Aiden Caesar might work, because we'll get to that in a moment, what do you think about having Galvin and Bud there for our first game of the year?
It's a risky move. It's a very risky move.
Yeah.
From everything that I've read about Lockie, he's a very, very confident kid. Very confident. Not a lot kind of weighs on him. It's water off a duck's back. So, maybe, being thrown into the fire won't affect him too much. But it's like you said, the physicality of junior against an NRL team, that's like going up like running into a wall of pillows and running into a brick wall. That's literally the difference. Like, you joke about we used to joke about Toyota Cup basically being a game of touch football because they just didn't know how to defend. That was just how it was. So I think he may be the fittest at the club, but is it, are people going at 100% at him consistently, set after set after set, and then he has to back that up with fitness? Because that's, again, training fitness and match fitness are two very different things as well. So,
and also, sorry, finish off, sorry.
I think I'd literally finished my point, so.
Yeah, also, I actually think the hits, I might cop a bit of flack for this, but I think whether you're playing New South Wales Cup, whether you're playing maybe first grade first grade footy, in terms of first grade local footy, or whether you're playing NRL, I think the hits are comparable. What I think is different is the frequency of them and the speed of the game. So, if you get a bloke that weighs 130 kilos and had 3 Big Macs on his way to play second grade or first grade local footy, and he's running at you off a 20-metre head start off the kickoff, he's going to fucking hurt when he hits you. The difference is that bloke's got one of them in him a game.
Yeah.
You're coming up against Papali'i. He takes 17 of those runs. And then you got Tapane off the back of that. And then you got Hudson Young on an edge, trying to tackle your face off or run at you with his bumper bars up. And then you got Morgan Smithies in the middle, who is just an absolute bulldog. And it just goes for 80 minutes. And so when I think physicality, I'm thinking more that it's the high frequency of it, and it's also the fact that the game moves so quick, and you've got to be able to hold your own physically, but then not let the game pass you by. You can't be on your haunches because you copped a little bit of a knock in the sternum when you're the half and you need to be there for the next set. I'm hoping he absolutely brains it on the weekend. I've just got concerns, and the concerns are legitimate, and I don't think that I'm alone there.
No, like you said, the concerns are legitimate. And name a West Tigers supporter that doesn't hope that he brains them. So we're all in the same boat. I think probably the majority of us have share those concerns as well.
Yeah,
it's just going to be one of those situations where only time's going to tell. We don't know how he's going to handle it. We don't know how. Like, you would like to think that Sticky's going to have them running at him all day. You'd like to think that because of obviously his inexperience. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and if Benji's thrown him in there, he's thrown him in there for a reason. I don't think Benji is one of those. Is going to be one of those coaches that, bows to the mob in terms of you need to pick this guy because we told you to. He's like, well, I'm going to pick him if I think he's ready. That's it.
Yeah, which is refreshing because I think for far too long we've had coaches that have made safe picks. And it's irritating as all buggery. When you're going poorly, you need to take risks. Now, I don't know that round one is the time to do that, but as you said, it's clear as the nose on your face that Benji Marshall will be his own man as a coach, and he will do what he thinks is right, and he'll live and die by the results. And it's refreshing to see that. Obviously, it's a gamble, but it's one that we hope pays off. Here's one for you. I don't know whether it's lost on a lot of people, but I'm not sure that a lot of people have actually realised. Canberra are playing a 19-year-old 5'8" themselves in Ethan Strange.
Yeah.
So Ethan Strange played in the under-19s New South Wales Origin last year, and actually I think he got player of the match. I think he scored 3 tries or 2 tries or something.
I think so. Yeah.
Physically a well-built young fella and a good, strong young player. But Ethan Strange is 19. He's coming. I think he played 1 game of first grade at the back end of last year, maybe a couple. So he played last weekend, played quite well. But, there's going to be 2 18, 19-year-old halves with less than 3 NRL games, 4 NRL games between them, playing opposite each other, at least in terms of their position on the field. So as much as we have somebody in that position in our side, and we're seeing it as a big risk, obviously from a physical perspective, Canberra have the same situation. So Canberra are battling with the same thing. So no doubt that Benji will be looking to send Papali'i or Bateman, whoever is on that side, down at Strange themselves. So it's going to be a bit of what's good for the goose is good for the gander, I think, with that approach on the weekend.
Yeah, no, it's I will say it wasn't something I actually thought about, if I'm being honest. But yeah, it is very true. Ethan Strange is a very young half in the same sort of vein as Lockie. So,
yep. Okay, mate. We did mention before that we're going to talk briefly about the Caesar at 14 situation. So let's take it on face value. Caesar plays in the 14. If that's the way that the side rolls out come game day, how does Caesar get deployed into the game, and what do you think will happen? I've got my thoughts. It doesn't really divert from what we've spoken about in the past. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it's probably. I think you and I are probably going to say the same thing. I think what will happen is when Appy goes off, Bud will go, or if Appy goes off, which you think he would, Bud will go in as just a serviceable number 9, and Caesar will go into the halves to replace Bud. That's how I think it will play out. If I was a betting man, I would put money on that. I think it's probably one of the only options, really. Couldn't see. I think in the past, Caesar may have played a little bit of dummy half when he was at the Titans, but it's not really what I envision. But it could be. It's just, again, you said it. Benji's his own man. He's going to be his own coach. No one can really be inside Benji's head but Benji, and we don't know what he's going to do. But the smart money would be on that.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree. Someone has to play hooker at a certain point. Appy won't be playing 80 minutes, in my opinion. He obviously can if he has to, but I think if you're going to get the best out of Apisai Coruscant, you need to play him in those stints. And I think that's a big reason why Bateman was chosen as vice-captain, and why there is clearly a vice-captain that was announced, is the fact that Bateman's going to be playing 80. And so it's, in my eyes, a bit of a nod and a wink to the fact that Appy will be getting a rest. And who's the most likely to come on in to dummy half? Yeah, for me, it's not going to be Caesar. I might be wrong, but I don't know that it's going to be Caesar. I think it will be Bud shift in. And so maybe Benji's using this game as a bit of a third trial in a way. Is he going to maybe almost play Bud in 7 for a period of time, and then you're going to play Aiden in 7 for a period of time, and you're going to see how things mesh with either player in those positions, how they work with Appy. Well, obviously, if Appy's off, Season won't get that opportunity, but how they work with their forwards, how they work with Galvin, how they work on swings and that sort of stuff. What's the kicking game like? So there's quite a lot of variables there. Mate, I am all for innovative game structures. I'm all for creative game plans, but it still needs to be clear. We can see from Sheen's experiments in the past, and he's not the only one, but you can definitely overcomplicate somebody's role and overcomplicate a game plan to the point of it being too fancy and near on impossible to execute, and it becomes a problem. Do you see an issue with changing the halves up deliberately in the middle of a game?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I think that if people are if you want to develop those combinations, if you want to develop that rapport with your outside backs, with your back rowers, you need to be with them consistently, time after time after time, because it doesn't happen by continuously switching. I think that there is issues in doing that. Whether it's something that does happen, we don't know yet. But smart money as it will, it could very much hinder. It could also really hinder Lockie's development if he's continually changing halves that he's playing against. That's if what happens. Because, he has to, you have a look at some of the great halves pairing. They just get this second intuition against each other. You look at Cleary and Romy. You look at back when Cronk and Keary were playing for the Roosters. There was just that synergy. It was like you knew what you needed to do because you had that man that you could trust. And you keep switching it. That takes a while to grow.
Yep. I agree. And I think one of the key things that we've lacked most obviously last year above all else is the fact that we didn't have any continuity in not only our halves, but just most of the spine in general. You go through and you look at the halves combinations that we had, and then you look at the fact that Buller came in after round 8, and all that sort of stuff as well. And Appy missed chunks during the middle of the year, and you had the likes of Will Smith and Dane Laurie and Brandon Wakeham and Luke Brooks and Adam Dewey and whoever else played in those halves positions over the course of the year. Yeah, I know that we've all got one eye on 2025, and we haven't even played a game, but I think that every season is a long season if we're experimenting at this stage. I don't know that I'm a giant fan of that, but look, that's just all speculation at the moment. We'll wait and see what happens, I guess, on the weekend in that regard.
Yeah.
Mate, what other selections in that 17 are something that catches your eye? The likes of Fa'atape in centres, for me, I'm a little bit excited about. Now, he's coming up against Matthew Timoko, who is really starting to blossom into a pretty strong young centre. He's played for New Zealand now. Good carry of the football. I think Tim Mackay is a little bit susceptible in defence, but we've heard the same thing about Fatape as well. Going to be an interesting matchup.
I think so. I think that's going to be. I think that's probably going to be one to watch. If I'm honest, I think they're probably quite similar in the way that they're very powerful in terms of upper body strength. They run good lines. They're very, very similar. They've got that late offload as well. The late flick. So I think that's going to be a great matchup. The one that's really going to probably stand out for me is I think the aggression that Samuela will bring on when he starts, when he comes on. Sorry, when he comes onto the paddock.
Yep.
That's something, you and I talk about the golden era of when we had, probably in our eyes, the best front row rotation we've ever had, when we had Gavay and Tapa'u on our bench, because we called them the Bash Brothers. They just had this aggression when they came on that we need, and we've kind of got that again when you've got Pole and Samuela. So that's the thing that's going to excite me. I think those two coming on to create a little bit more of a headache for Canberra.
Certainly, if that's something they can grow into those positions. We talk about how the fact that Pole is 21, Samuela is 20, but these two blokes are here for the long haul, at least Samuela is. I'm not sure how long Pole's contracted for. I think he's contracted until the end of 2026 is my understanding, but he's held in really high regard by the club, no doubt. But, mate, if those two blokes can find what they need to, they're both every bit of 110 kilos. Samuela's 109 and 194 odd centimetres. Obviously, Pole's a bit shorter, but he's built like a tank. We're starting to see bits and pieces of Pole trying to become that hard running, bustling off the bench impact front rower. So if those two can fill that sort of role, it certainly makes a bit of a change from benches gone by when we would see the likes of Twal, Seyfarth,
Eisenhuth.
Well, I was going to go back to Eisenhuth, Buchanan, some of these players. So, mate, there's a bit of youthful energy there, but they're going to have to bring the right intent, those blokes.
Yeah, we've seen Sam be a little bit too hot-headed in terms of how he goes in. He needs to, being the 20-year-old that clearly has that aggression in him. It's going to take him time to control that. You look at perfect example is Clem. Took him a little bit to control that aggression. But it'll just come with maturity. So.
Yep. Well, I've got to mention Seyfarth. Obviously, he's had the inside running over the pre-season. We heard quite a bit about Big Red being given the all clear for lock prior to playing in the trials. He then had a great game against the Warriors in that position, and then he had an absolute Barry Crocker in the second. And I was, pretty ropeable with that performance.
Pretty quickly.
I did, mate. It was that bad. And my big concern was his control of the ruck and not having the capacity to own that middle. Couldn't control the wrestle, couldn't manipulate the play of the ball, and his first up contact was woeful. We know what we get with him. Benji's sticking with him, which, is a hat tip to the effort and how hard a trainer Seyfarth is. What are they seeing that we're not seeing in games? Because a less impactful lock, in my opinion, you will not find. What are they seeing?
I think, the listeners just have to go back to last year's pod where I said that he was one of my biggest improvers by far in last year's season. He went leaps and bounds, improved on what we felt he needed to improve on. I think what Benji is doing is clearly showing to everyone if you put in the effort, you will get the opportunity. Doesn't mean you get the spot. You get the opportunity because, again, we talk about the two games that he's played. He's played against the Warriors, where we both thought he had a pretty good game. Then he played against the Dragons. Now, he did have a woeful game, but there was quite a few that had a woeful game. So you can't single him out too much in terms of just being woeful. But because he is that lock and he does control that ruck speed, he does need to bring his A game every single time. He does need to be that person that does have that first up contact in the middle. He does get them to find their back. You don't want them to find their front, obviously. So I think what Benji is doing, and again, everything we say is speculation because literally no one knows what Benji is doing with Benji. is showing to the entire squad that this guy has put in the hard yards. We're going to give him a shot. You put in the hard yards, you might get a shot too. But he might also sit there and say what we saw was just a blip. That was a speed bump for him. You should have seen him in the trial. You should have seen his attitude. You should have seen him at training. He's just everything we want him to be. So we're going to give him every single chance we can. So.
Yep. All right, mate. Tell me, what are the Raiders' biggest threats? Just in terms of players or what they have to offer? What do we have to be mindful of against Canberra?
What do we have to be mindful of?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but every single time Rapana plays us, he just plays out of his skin. Like Rapana's he's a very serviceable player. Like I wouldn't say he's he's not a game stopper. He's not a superstar, but he's very serviceable. He reminds me a lot of, I guess, Dylan Edwards in the way he plays. Very serviceable.
Had a good game against Newcastle on the weekend. He's quite good.
But he always just plays out of his skin against us. I will never forget that. I think when we played him at Leichhardt, and him and BJ Leatherwood just ran rampant over our side. Yeah. So he's definitely one to keep an eye on, especially with how much he, I guess, follows the ball. And the guy that I would love to sign this day right now would be Tarpany. And I think there's a reason for that. He's so powerful, never gives up on the game. He's very much like a Adam Fanua-Blake in terms of, obviously not the size or anything like that, but can really control a game from the front row. And that's another one. So those two players are big ones for me.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. I think that for me, we need to pressure Fogarty as much as we can with his kicking game. His kicking game alone.
He did majority of the kicking last week, didn't he?
He certainly did, yep, he certainly did. And I think that we can do a lot of that through what we do through the middle. So I think we need a lot more line speed, but specifically, to your point, Tapani and Papali'i need to have markers on the heads. If you cut off the head of that snake, I think it's their front row. You got Tapani and Papali'i there playing in the front row. If you cut the head off of that, I think they really start to struggle. I think Smithies is finding his way. I think Hoskins is a decent player, but he's out on an edge. Hudson Young, same thing, prone to a mistake or two. I think it starts and ends with... What's that?
Or an elbow or two.
An elbow or two, yeah. It starts and ends with Papali'i for me. Papali'i and Tapani, sorry. So not only do you get up and get in their face, but you need to shut down the offloads. So you need to focus on that ball. Definitely. Yeah. And, this is not as if it's not an approach that you have against every team, but I think in particular that's where you stop Canberra. I think if those two are dominating play, if they're getting 5, 6, 7 offloads during the game, that allows Fogarty to play on the front foot, and he's got quite the handy boot, and he can have the ball on a string. We saw last year. If you give him an opportunity to put the ball where he wants to, luck falls their way, and they will very often have very fortuitous bounces and whatnot from kicks, Canberra, because they follow, they contest most kicks, and they put themselves in a position to be able to capitalise on most kicks. They tend to prioritise attacking with kicks in general. So I think you got to pressure Fogarty, and for me, you do it via their front row. So, which to me, I just say to Steph this week, both those blokes are yours, and I'd say the same thing, Clem and whatnot as well. But I'd almost say to Sam Weller and Paulette as well, or just even all four of them, just say, you blokes this week, I don't care if you run for 50 metres, I don't care if you run for 60 metres, shut down Papali'i and Tapane, bury them as best you can, and don't let them get an inch. One person rushes them every carry. We're gang tackling. We're trying to do whatever we can to cut off the head of that snake.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think that whilst they've got quite the talented back line who can take advantage of quite a number of situations, you alluded to Rapana, Timiko's a talent, said Chris is a good talent, Albert Hopewade serviceable, Xavier Savage when the ball falls his way is an absolute weapon, and we saw he played quite well on the weekend as well. If they're not getting quality ball, I think that they can become largely ineffective, like a lot of those slick outside 1-to-5s can in certain teams. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah. It sounds like a very simple game plan, but 9 times out of 10, we just don't follow it.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be interesting to see, mate, what our approach is on the weekend. Based upon what we saw in the trials, based upon what we've heard from Benji, I worry that we're going to be focusing on simplistic game plans. And I don't think we have the personnel to be able to facilitate victories in simplistic game plans. And look, if they're going out there saying that 90% completions and getting within 10 points of decent teams is good enough to start the year, that concerns me. Because you've got 17 blokes that you're going to send out there, and those 17 blokes want to win football games, and you've got tens of thousands of fans behind you that will also want to win football games. And who says that 17 blokes is better than our 17 blokes? You know, so you look at the names, you look at their histories, you look at the talent of the squads. Both squads have talent. Both squads have experience. Okay, Canberra obviously favourites. They're a stronger side on paper, it would seem. But to me, I'm not into playing that safe football in that regard. I hope that he does have an ace or two up his sleeve, and we do see us chasing points to a degree, because I do have concerns that we're going to try to start the year playing very simple football to establish our combinations and patterns. And whilst that's a good thing, I don't want to go. Nobody does. And I think it's extremely detrimental if we go the first couple of months with 1, 2, or 0 wins on the board again for what would be the third season in a row.
Yeah, look, I kind of want to get a Craig Bellamy kind of record going, if I'm being honest. Let's do 22 years of round 1 victories.
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? All right, mate. So Saturday, 3 p.m. down in Canberra is when, Saturday, 2 p.m. 2 p.m.? 2 p.m. Queensland. 3 p.m. down in Canberra. I'm still confused by that. Need to sort out the daylight saving. It'll be over in a couple of weeks. GIO Stadium in Canberra. We kick off our season. Mate, a bold prediction for this game for me. What is going to be your bold prediction? What's that?
Are we going to finish off the other bold predictions?
We are, mate. We're getting back to it.
Okay. Just double checking you haven't forgotten me.
You wrote them down, mate. I can't leave you high and dry there.
You can't. I wrote them down, and it takes a while for me to write. Bold prediction is Fatape to get over for a try. Goal line. Look, I think Canberra will win, but I don't think they'll win comfortably. I think it'll be like 20-16.
Okay. I see a Canberra win as well. I've got them winning 26-12. Unfortunately, I think we'll be there or thereabouts. I think we'll see some positive signs. I'm going to say Steph will run for over 200 metres is my bold prediction.
Wouldn't mind it.
I think he's going to have a year. I really do. And
so do I.
I hope for our sake and for his sake that he does. Yep.
Yep. I'm good with that.
All right. Mate, we've got a couple more bold predictions for the season that we're going to marry back to nice and quickly before we jump into our PSAs and we do our first pre-game Go the Tigers for the year. I'm looking forward to that one. Mate, so season 2024, what have you said so far? You said you thought that at the end of the year,
Ice would be leaving. He'd be gone by the end of the year.
Back to the Warriors. I said Bud would go back to the Dragons is my bold. We'll get 2 more. Throw them at me. What do you got?
I've actually got Alamalo solidifies a spot in the starting 17.
Nice. New South Wales Cup on the weekend.
Yep. What's your second?
I've got Fatape as our Rookie of the Year. It's a West Tigers Rookie of the Year.
That's a good one.
Yep.
And my final is actually Buller joins the New South Wales squad. Doesn't get picked in the 17, but he joins the New South Wales squad.
Now, I think he's eligible for Queensland, isn't he?
Is he?
So I think he said last year he would like to play for New South Wales, but I think he's eligible for Queensland. I might be wrong, but I think that's what I read.
Oh, that's going to annoy me if that's the case.
We'll look that up. We'll find that out. We'll confirm for next week.
Yep.
Mate, my final one is Steph Utoikamanu is going to sign a 4-year extension with the West Tigers.
Please. Yes, please. Future captain.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of good news, and I think it's going to come off the back of a really positive and outstanding start to the year. I think he's in for a good year.
Yeah. Happy days.
All righty then. Mate, before we jump into the PSAs, A reminder, folks, that we do have, Toby tells me, on KO or on Fox on the weekend, we've actually got a televised game of our New South Wales Cup game just prior to our first grade game, which is exciting. 11:40 that kicks off. Is that right? That would be 12:40 down in New South Wales, where the time is a little bit more accurate. Now, our side plays Canberra, obviously, and we've got a few interesting selections. I'm not going to spend forever on this, but there's a few people to look out for in our New South Wales Cup. Heath Mason, starting fullback. Interesting to see. We've seen a bit of Heath through the trials. Obviously, very well regarded within the club. Solomon Alamalo, who's come over from the Chiefs that you mentioned. He's starting on the wing there for what effectively will be his second game of rugby league, I think, because he played in a New South Wales Cup trial a couple of weeks ago. We've got Lob, your other mate, on the other wing, so quite a tall timber setup for the wingers, which looks good. We've got then the likes of Matamua playing his first game of the year at 13. We've got Talon De Silva at 15, Kit Lelalii at 16, and then we've also got Jake Simkin playing the starting hooker there for New South Wales Cup, so that's interesting. We've also got the Jersey Flegg side that will be playing at 10 o'clock against the Raiders as well. Sorry if I've messed these times up, folks. It's the Queensland New South Wales thing. I'm trying my best, but it tries to change it for me, and then I don't know if it has. Just refer to your local guides, but it's 10 or 11 o'clock for the Jersey Flegg as well. So we've got the full gamut of Tigers v Canberra Raiders, mate.
Yeah, it's I'll definitely be parked in front of the TV most of Saturday, so it'll be good. Looking forward to it.
It's exciting. I'm really looking forward to Saturday. It's going to be good. Now, I know that we're probably on the road to a hiding there and we'll probably be eating our words, but look, just the fact that we're back, and we get to watch our boys in some play some football on the weekend is a great thing. Mate, I'm going to jump into these PSAs. What do you reckon?
Yeah, go for it.
2 podcasts we always say do things as well as us, West Life podcast and the West Tigers podcast. Both fantastic teams, both wonderful commentary, different perspectives. We love it. You need to love it. Get over and follow those blokes. West Life podcast, West Tigers podcast. They do fantastic work. Tell them who sent you. The boys from the Tiger Town podcast. I remembered the name of our own show this week. How special is that?
Yeah, happy about that.
Speaking of Tiger Town podcast, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. I don't know. Probably
Apple
on the moon. Apple Podcasts. You find us everywhere. You probably find us in Venezuela and Antarctica at this stage. We're everywhere.
Potentially.
If you don't follow us on any of those platforms, and you are on them, Tiger Town Podcast, on everything, you can find us. Just search in our little name. Find us there, follow us, subscribe, whatever you need to do. Your support is always, as always, is really, really, really appreciated, to put it lightly, mate. And once again, for everybody who chimed in with your bold predictions or your comments or your statements or whatever it is over the course of this afternoon, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight, and I hope you enjoyed that bit of interaction with us. We certainly enjoy hearing people's perspectives as well. It gives us some food for thought, and every single time we put the feelers out, Tobe, mate, there's always some interesting comments that are raised and some wonderful talking points.
Yeah, it's really cool to sort of see what people are thinking, and it's gone to the days where you go down to the pub and talk to your mate about the Tigers. You just do it on Facebook now. So
yeah, exactly right, mate. Mate, I can't wait. Saturday, 3 p.m, GIA Stadium. We're going to be firmly entrenched in our living rooms, eyes on the television. If you happen to be going down to Canberra, apologies, but make sure you let the boys know with your loudest of voices just how much we're behind them this year. Benji and the whole lads, let's do it. Let's kick off the season. Round 2, my man, before we go, Best on Ground Digital, bestongrounddigital.com. Thank you to our show sponsor once again, Best in the Business, the digital marketing agency that looks after the little guy. I nearly forgot about bestongrounddigital.com. How could I do that? They're the reason we're on Apple. We love their work. My friend, we play a game on Saturday, round 2, West Tigers.
And another thing too, for those that are going to the game, why don't you take a photo and tag us in it so we can see where you're sitting, see what your view's like. Just let's get involved. We can't get there, so let's live vicariously through you.
Throw it on our Facebook page, guys. We'll give you a run. We'll give you a shout out. Send us a private message. We'll load you up. Okay, selfie or 2 with a couple of players. We're all about it.
You can just rein in the jealousy now.
Absolutely. Yeah. As Toby said, we'll live vicariously through you. We can't get down there. So you go and do it on our behalf. Mate, nothing more to say. Episode 7 in the books. I'm excited. You're excited. Let's hope we are in 7 days as well. Go the mighty West Tigers.
Go the Tigers. Yeet!